All right, let's get started. Yeah, I know most people should have enough time to get in. And so today we're gonna go back to kind of a story text. That's gonna be pretty fun. Ryan, is that it? Ah, okay. So yeah, we're gonna go back to a story text. Tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week, on week 4, we're gonna do kind of like a mini vocab test. And so this lesson or next lesson is gonna be relatively short. But we'll do like a mini test and I'll like hand it to you guys over Zoom or I'll put it on Google Classroom beforehand. And if you guys can work on the device and on a piece of paper and just get your answers down and then we can check them, that'd be sick. So this is coming up for next week. There won't be reading, but we'll do like a quick vocab review. And that should be exciting. Cool. So without further ado, let me pull up the slides. Cool. So we're gonna do Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And I don't know how many of you guys have read the book, but it's a pretty interesting book. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'll give you guys some time to read, 6 minutes probably. This is a shorter text. Oh, and I need to disable. Actually, 6 minutes should be pretty generous. I'll give you guys 2 more minutes. This is a rather short reading, not gonna lie. About a minute more to finish up. Cool. So that should have been enough time. So we'll get started with some context questions to help you guys just kind of just get a more of a sense or more of an idea of what's happening, or just make sure you guys have a full understanding. So again, we're going to be using the raise hand function. You raise your hand, and then I'll unmute you, and then go forward and talk. and then when you're done, you can mute yourself, or I can mute you, depending on what you do first. So first of all, let's get started. So this is going to be a contest question. Why does Alice not join her sister? Brandon?
Because that she thought that the book that her sister was reading was boring.
Nice. Yeah, so that's precisely it. And you can see here, let me pull out an annotator really quickly. Look that. So she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. What is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures and conversations, right? So by this, it's kind of just right there in the text. As I said, it's kind of not as deep. It's not as something you have to really look for, as long as you read the book or read the passage well and have a good understanding. That should come to you like that. Cool. So we'll move on to the next question. So based on this passage, what do you think Alice's age is? And you can just give a rough estimate, and then when you also say your reasoning behind it. Also, if you don't have a name on your thing, or you have an incoherent name, I'm not going to call on you, and that just not fair to me, because I don't want to go through all that to have to find other people. So if you have changed your name, please change it back to something I can read. So Mel 1, I'll unmute you.
I think Alice is probably like a child's age, maybe like 5, 6, 7, or 8 or something, because she it seems like she likes picture books that have like that are very interesting and not very nonfiction-y. And well, yeah.
Okay, nice. Let's see. I'll go to some other people. Edward.
So I think she might be about 9, because she probably so like she only likes books that have things that are very appealing and things that are obvious and make it interesting.
Nice. Just as a form of reference, I think I don't particularly can say what age she is, but also think about how old you are and think about what you're reading, right? And use that kind of as like a base thing. Also, there is no right answer, so whoever argues the best, or whoever makes the most compelling arguments, is probably the person that everyone would be drawn to believe, just because that's the nature of the way things work. Sophie.
I think she's like 5, because like she only likes books with like conversations and picture books, and now I'm like reading chapter books, so I think like when I was like 5, I started reading like those small books, so that had like pictures, so I think she's like about 5 years old.
5 years old. Nice.
Because that's when you begin reading.
We'll go through a couple more people. Chloe.
I think she's like about 4 or 5, because she doesn't like chapter books. And when I was like 4 and 5, I didn't really know how to read chapter books too.
Nice. All right. I'm gonna look at Sean with H. Let me unmute you.
I think Alice is a rather young age, because it says the book had no pictures or conversations in it, and she thinks, what's the use of a book without pictures or conversation? So from that, I think she would like books with lots of pictures and conversations, and usually younger kids like books like that.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna go one more person. Just so that we have enough time. So let's do Edward. Unmute. Also, if you have raised your hand and you've answered, then you can feel free to put your hand down. Oh, Edward, if you don't want to. Okay. Benjamin.
Okay. I think Alice is around like fourth grade or something because usually fourth graders like conversation and dialogue and stuff like that. Since I'm
Nice. So personally, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of consensus, definitely on the younger side, right? Maybe something like 6 and down, at least 6 and down, right? And so what I'm hearing is that, I'm hearing the evidence that Alice does not want to read from picture books, like she wants to read from picture books, right? She doesn't see a point in just words. And then I think another part, which I think uh someone just mentioned, sorry, I forget I don't particularly remember who. They mentioned that she was able to make conversation, or she was able to make kind of coherent thoughts. And because of that, that gives you an idea that, she's not probably 1 or 2 where, you're still kind of learning the language. She's definitely in the age where she has enough skills and comprehension to be able to make out things and to be able to form her own opinions and thoughts. And so, I'd say 4, 5, 6 would all be good, pretty good answers. So I'm seeing Kira, he's adding some interesting comments. I'm gonna unmute you.
Well, one of the things that most people said was about the books, right? And she likes picture books, so we infer that she's a young age. But what's interesting to me here is that in the part of the excerpt where they talk about the rabbit, basically what she like when she sees the normal rabbit, right? It says here there's nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it was so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself. Okay, so until she's not finding anything interesting, she won't dive deeper into it. Because when the rabbit actually took out the watch out of his waistcoat pocket, she started to get more interested. So she's at a mature age such that she can coherently think about how to dive deeper into topics she's interested in. So it wouldn't be like 5, 6, 7. It would be more like 9, 10. At least with my thoughts.
Okay. Totally valid thoughts. Okay, also I just want to add on. Of course, there might be people who have read the books or read the passages that I'm giving out. And I just want to say, like, that's totally fine. Like, there's nothing you can do to kind of reverse that. Just keep in mind, or like try to come at it from a different angle where you're only getting what your knowledge is from this passage. And I know that's hard because, obviously you might have additional knowledge, like how we talked about last class when we talked about thunderstorms and stuff. A lot of people had, outside knowledge, but especially in the form of this class, definitely add on what you know from outside knowledge, but make sure it's rooted in something that is from the passage that I'm giving you guys. Cool. So I think we spent pretty good time on that. I think a lot of people had some really good arguments and thoughts, and that's great. That's really awesome. So the next part is Alice in Wonderland. It's considered a fantasy kind of genre, and so if it is a fantasy, what does it seem to suggest about like this passage, or what does this kind of tell us about what we just read? Jack, I'm gonna unmute you.
The first paragraph, it tells us, since it says the rabbit says something and the rabbit took a watch out of its waistcoat pocket, it tells us that the book is definitely fiction. Mm-hmm. Because like in real life, rabbits really don't do that.
Yeah. So again, also, or like not again, but like I just want to clarify, fiction is not real and nonfiction is real. For those of you who might be a little bit confused. Sean, I'm gonna mute you right now.
I just forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay. Okay, Alvin.
So what the paragraph tells us is that it's telling us like the whole series, like or the whole book would be kind of fiction, since in the real world it's not possible that rabbits can talk and they don't have like watches.
Yeah.
And
Obviously.
so the first paragraph also tells us that Alice was like sitting at the bank and she was bored until the talking rabbit hopped by.
Nice. Then I'll go Chloe, and then that should be pretty good because I think we got pretty good in-depth coverage of that.
Like I think it's a fiction because rabbits don't have watches and waistcoat pockets. They don't talk. And
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. So when you think about it, right, this passage from what we've just read, none of it makes sense. None of it could actually happen in our world, right? And so I didn't tell you guys this, but this is actually the opening passage from the book. This is, you open the book and this is the immediate thing that you read. And so because of this, it already sets the it already sets like the mood or kind of like the prediction, right? That for the rest of the book, almost nothing might not make sense. Like the stuff that happens following the rest of the book or the rest of this passage is going to be definitely fiction. And it's also going to be maybe, a little bit trippy because it can't actually happen in real life. And, from Alice in Wonderland or Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, especially, that book is definitely fantasy. It's definitely not real at all. And a lot of stuff happens within the book that would never happen in real life. And because of that, it makes it sometimes a little bit confusing to read. And so just overall, I think it's a good distinction when you're reading a book, just to make sure that, sometimes when it's, outlandish things are happening, sometimes it's really easy to get confused or to kind of forget what's happening because there's a lot of things happening in that moment. And so to be able to kind of make sure you separate each clause, be able to understand every part of the passage is really awesome and amazing, and it's going to help you. Cool. So another argumentative question, it would be, from your opinion, is Alice a lazy character or do her circumstances make her lazy? So just from what you've read, would you think Alice is a lazy person? Harshal, I'm gonna mute you.
I don't think Alice is a lazy person because, like, in this book, she likes reading and she always wants to find something new in a read. Like she always wants to do reading.
Okay. So she's not lazy?
Yeah, because she always wants to be busy like that.
Uh-huh. Nice.
So
that's a valid opinion. Sophie?
So I think Alice isn't really a lazy person, but her circumstances, such as the hot day, made her lazy and feel sleepy and stupid, according to the passage. And this is something else. There's this saying from China that all people's personalities are the same, except their surroundings make them different.
Wow. Yeah, I think I've heard something like that, and that's definitely right. It's kind of like this argument of nature versus nature versus nurture. Like, is everyone born the same way, and because of the way we grow up, it becomes something different, or is it everyone's born different, and that's the reason why we're different? And that's like an interesting thing that I saw, or that I thought about. So yeah, totally right on. Simon?
She's not lazy because she's curious because she got to she's not lazy because she's really curious because she followed a rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right, Jingwei. Unmute. Oh, sorry.
I think she is a teeny bit lazy because like I never really seen her do any work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my opinion. She is a bit
Yeah.
lazy.
So from this passage, right, all you've seen is her just kind of like slacking around and then going into the hedge, into the hole. Cool. Doran, and Doran's gonna be the last one.
I don't think she's lazy because she was just bored of sitting by the bank on the bank with nothing to do.
Nice. Okay, so I'm seeing Kirog and Lynn. They're revealing some pretty interesting things in chat to me. And so I'll if you guys want to raise your hands, I can unmute you too, because I'm seeing some pretty interesting things there. And we can get through that. Okay, Kirog. Unmute. Go for it. It appears that that's not happening. Okay, so then I'll just mute and then we can get started again. So basically I just kind of saw some interesting things that, like, you know, she was driven by an interest that most lazy people wouldn't do. Like, she was interested by the rabbit and that led her to do it, which I heard from a lot of people. And so I think that's definitely something that could be interesting and something that could be, you know, definitely prove the argument that she wouldn't be lazy. And so, yeah, from my understanding, also, I kind of felt that she was unlazy. But then I think I saw some other people that they said the text doesn't give enough really information to really determine as a character if she's lazy or not, right? And I think that's also pretty interesting. And so, you know, especially from a short passage or some from a short, like, you know, excerpt from a book, it doesn't always tell you, you know, the necessary stuff that you would normally get when you read an entire book. It doesn't give you all the context. And so because of that, you know, you could argue that there's not enough information to really tell. All right, cool. So I'm seeing a lot of good stuff here, but I have a couple more questions, so I want to keep the ball moving a little bit. But yeah, I think definitely you guys have made some pretty convincing arguments. All right. So what is a capitalization of White Rabbit? As you can see right here, seem to suggest about its involvement in the book later on. Because obviously White Rabbit in it itself is not a proper noun. It's not a name. It's not a name. It's more just like an adjective and a noun, and that's it. There's nothing really special about them. Toucan?
I think that's because White Rabbit's gonna be a very important character later on.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Toucan, and you call me Toucan.
Toucan? Okay, gotcha. Okay. Braden, sorry. Misread the R.
I think that the white rabbit is going to be the only white rabbit in the story.
Nice. Yeah. Especially because they made the distinction of, you know, kind of giving it a title. Ryan?
I think that they use a rabbit to like let the story begin.
All right.
The rabbit about that one, and then she go to the Wonderland.
Gotcha. All right. And then Mel 1. I'll be the last one.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, of course. So does the capitalization of White Rabbit suggest, or what does the capitalization of White Rabbit suggest about its involvement later on in the book?
Maybe that it's an important character, or that White Rabbit is its name.
Yeah. So definitely. So I'm hearing that because it's titled, right, it's definitely an important character, or it's something that, there's only going to be one White Rabbit. It makes a distinction that, this character is special by capitalizing it. And so that draws, the reader's attention, right? Like that when you read it, it's like, why is Rabbit capitalized? And so it kind of draws attention to itself, and it also gives it a kind of name to hold within the book. So it's not just like a random rabbit. Because if it was a random rabbit, there was no point to capitalize it. But this kind of tells that it's going to be a recurring character. Yeah, so I'm sorry if so about all types of things as well. In chat, there's a lot of good things happening. And so, I can't really get through all of the things in chat, or I can't really have everyone speak, which would, honestly be great, but we don't have that kind of time. But yeah, I'm just letting you guys know, I'm reading it, and it's all looking really good. You guys have come a long way. Okay, so let's do one more question before we take a break. And so this is kind of another argumentative one. Was it a smart decision for Alice to follow the rabbit? The very bottom of the passage, it says Alice goes after it. So in your opinion, would Alice's decision be smart? And this can be argued a little bit through what you know Alice of from this passage and what it tells you, but also a little bit from your own like kind of knowledge or your own thinking. Cool. So Andrew.
Apparently, I think yes, because apparently she's getting very bored and she thinks that following the rabbit would be a very good idea. It apparently is a good idea to me because, first of all, I think that she's bored and has nothing to do. So I think that following a rabbit would make it so she would have lots of stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't get that bored as soon as she went back home.
Yeah, so being away, not to be bored. Okay. Clara, on you.
I think she should have gone because then she could have some sort of adventures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. So exploring again. Nice. Harshal. Sorry if that's not the pronunciation. Let me know.
So I think Alice shouldn't, because let's say the White Rabbit was like somebody's like rabbit, and then she like made them go somewhere like she didn't know, and then she can like get kidnapped or like get caught.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. That's definitely a more kind of like real or kind of more rooted like kind of example and or kind of figurative, and I think that's definitely valid as well. Yeah, and so I'll go to Keurig next. Mute. If you want to speak up. If not, okay, I'll mute you. I'll move on to someone else. Jonathan. Nope. Okay.
I don't think it's a good idea because if you're following it, to me it kind of occurs like following that white rabbit is kind of like following a stranger, and I wouldn't exactly follow a rabbit who can take out and watch, because that just doesn't seem right to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even if she goes on adventures, that probably wouldn't be safe. And I've read the book before, and there are a lot of like near death situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so totally. And so I'm seeing a lot of good stuff in chat as well. So let me say I see a lot of mixed feelings, kind of like, it kind of works, kind of doesn't. So I saw Daphne said, no, she can't get up again, doesn't know how deep the hole is, kind of more precautionary, right? You're not taking second thought, you're just going for it. I see Edward said, just not smart at all. And then I think I saw Michael said, yes, because she'll learn stuff she won't see since she doesn't know how to get out, or she'll learn stuff because she went down there that she wouldn't have got anywhere else. I see Rylingo, sorry. No, she could have been stuck down there, or the rabbit could have been a bad rabbit. It's better to be safe than sorry. And I think Keurig, his mic, isn't working, but from what he said in chat, it says, for this question, I believe it is quite contradictory. I mean, of course, you want someone to follow their interest and make an exploration. However, it sort of exemplifies the fact that she is too much interested, leading her to more wandering and confusion. And so, yeah, it's definitely kind of like a two-handed question, and I'm not going to say there's a right answer because there isn't, right? One part, it's she's bored, right? And this could offer something that she could learn. This could offer new experiences. Yet at the same time, it also could be more dangerous because she's doing it without second consideration. And so, yeah, totally. And so I'm going to kind of leave this question up in the air, leave it kind of like running in your minds. If you guys have other pressing things or other, really interesting thoughts, put them in chat. And during, this 5-minute break, I can just kind of respond, or we can kind of continue this, and it should be fun. So yeah, so as I said, we're going to have a 5-minute break right now. So get up, get some water, get some, go to the bathroom if you need to, maybe get a little snack like fruit, then refresh your mind before we do some vocab. And I'll be here, so if you guys want to chat a little bit more about the question, that would work. So be back in 5 minutes. And then also feel free to put in chat. So, and I'm going to start undoing, I'm going to start letting people just like unmute them, or I'm going to unmute people, and we can still kind of conversate this. Okay, Sophie, I'm seeing that you have 2 questions. Let me unmute you really quickly. Sophie, unmute.
Why does it say like A and then capital W and then the rest of the word white and then rabbit? It's like the first letter is capital. Why doesn't it just say white rabbit? I mean, like, you don't say Sophie or something else.
I think that might have been a typo. I'm not totally sure. So yeah, that might have well have been a typo, or it might have been trying to get across that it was supposed to be fully capitalized. I didn't particularly notice that, but good catch. Sophie, I can unmute you again for your second question.
And my second question is like, when like it said the white rabbit said when it quoted the white rabbit, why did it use an apostrophe instead of double quotes?
Let me pull it up really quick. I don't remember seeing apostrophes.
Seriously, it did.
Oh, yeah, so normally it should be double quotes, and I think this is more of a stylistic choice on the author's part, or maybe on the text I pulled it from. But normally, yeah, it should be a double quote, but I think stylistically, you might choose to do that maybe, but yeah, I think especially just for you guys and everyone else, if you're not like an author and you don't have an editor or something, definitely just use double quotes. Better be safe than sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so I see Charlie said, why does the author make so many of the words capitalized? Again, so maybe this is from the version I pulled. Maybe it might not be like that in the actual book, but from the version I pulled, this is what it said. And so I don't personally know, but it's all up to kind of like the author's creative choice. Lynn said, maybe capitalizing White Rabbit would get the reader's attention and encourage them to keep reading so they could find out why the rabbit's so important. Yeah, maybe. Evan, yeah, I can unmute you.
Well, I think I have mixed feelings because like she was bored and like her sister was deep in her book, but she'll be in like very grave danger if it's a very potential risk if she went down the rabbit hole.
Nice. Also, I'm seeing some questions about where to go to get like learn reading or learn other things. Personally, I can't really suggest a thing, but I'd say just as a general note, just reading more books is always really good. Going to the library and just reading more books is the best. Break has already started. This is your break right now, but Jingwei, go for it. You can maybe take a little bit extra time, but just be back for workout. You have like a minute. So yeah, so go to libraries. If your libraries are closed right now, try to go to your library's homepage, your website, and they should normally a lot of the time have some overdrive or something like that. But me personally, I don't know any like specific online libraries online. Mel 1, is your hand up? I'm gonna mute you. And we're gonna get started pretty soon. If anyone has any other pressing things, go for it in chat, but otherwise you can just put your hand down. And seeing that for me it's 11:40, for you guys it might be 3:40, or whatever time it is on the East Coast, or in the yeah, or pretty much whatever time zone you're in. Break is pretty much ended. I think Lynn said there's a website called Project Gutenberg, where you can get free books to read. And so I don't know if that's totally legal, but I'm going to trust Lynn and I'm just going to put it in chat. So Project Gutenberg. And so hopefully this would be, a valid resource, and I'm going to trust Lynn. So maybe check it out, do your own research, figure it out. Cool. So that should have been enough time for a break, and we're going to get some vocab in. I'll share my screen again. Boom. So starting with aquarium. And again, in this time, I'm just going to be kind of monologuing so we can get it through. So we can get through all this. And if you have questions, put them in chat and I'll try to get through them. So aquarium, starting with aqua. If we know aqua is a root that means water, if you take Spanish or anyone speaks Spanish, aqua is water, and so that may make sense. So if aqua means water, then aquarium, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys know, would be kind of water related, right? And so aquarium is a tank where like fish and other sea creatures are kept. Sorry, it's agua for Spanish, so AGUA. And so, I just want to say this really quickly. English is kind of based off of 3 languages. It's based off like Greek, it's based off Latin, and I think it's a little bit based off of Spanish, or kind of the Romantic languages. And so English that's why you see all these roots. A lot of them are Latin roots, a lot of them are Greek roots. And so that's why you might see, some words that mean the same thing in different languages, or some roots that have meanings in different languages that mean the same thing. And that's all because they're kind of drawn from the same place. And so that's pretty interesting. So it's definitely helpful to speak multiple languages or be bilingual, because it can help you. Cool. So aqua means water. Other words that use aqua, so aquamarine, that's a color. It's kind of like a bluish green color, kind of dealing with the sea. Aquatic, having to do with water. Aqueduct, it's kind of like a tall thing that travels water, or like moves water for you. or it's a way that was used in the older times to transport water. So other roots that mean water, aqua and hydra. So like hydro dam or something like that, right? Cool. Next one, cred is believe or trust. So in this term, credible has to be something with trusting, right? So if you look at the definition, it's an adjective meaning able to believe. So if oh, here's a painter, I find him really credible, that means you find him very trustworthy. So other words with credit, if you might see a credit card, that's kind of based off the system where you spend money on the credit card and at the end of the year or something, you would pay back the bank and they would trust you, right, to pay it back. And so the more often times that you pay it back, the more credible you become or the more credit you get. Credentials would be like if you go to work and you have your credentials, that would be kind of proving who you are, proving that you work at the place that you do. And so it's a way to help you be believed. Incredulous means to be not believed. So like, I'm incredulous that you got the job. I don't believe that you got that job. So in would mean not, cred is believe. And so that's how you can kind of figure it out. Yeah, so that's incredulous, not incredible. And so other words that mean cred, fid kind of fits in, it's like trust and faith. And so that might be not the same meaning, but it's around the same kind of term or terminology. Biodegradable. Okay. So if bio means life, right? That means biodegradable has to be something doing with our lives or someone else's lives, right? And so biodegradable is an adjective, and it's a substance able to be decomposed by bacteria / living organisms or life, right? And so something might be biodegradable would be like banana peels, right? If you compost them, worms will often eat them, and then they will give out, they'll eat them and consume them, right? They'll decompose them. So in this case, bio means life. Other words that use bio would be biology, the study of life, a biohazard, autobiography. For auto would be like self, bio is life. So kind of like yourself, and then the life of yourself, which is kind of pretty cool if you think about it. Like you can kind of get the terms out of these stems, especially when there's multiple. So other words that mean life are viv and vit. So for those of you who might play an instrument, vivice or something would also mean like a quick speed tempo, right? You have a lot of life in you. I know I just butchered that. Let me write it down because for those of you, yeah, vivace. So. But yeah, if you see that in sheet music or something like that, that means playing kind of with a higher speed, but also being full of life. And so sheet music or piano or violin or whatever instrument you play is often based off of, older the languages that, were often English was based upon when they were learning it, which is also pretty interesting. Cool. And awesome. So circumnavigate. So circum is to mean around. So to circumnavigate, if you know what navigate means, it's kind of like steer. So maybe to steer around, to go around. And so if you look at the actual definition, it's a verb. It means to sail or go around, most typically like around the entire world. But right, from this definition, right, it's a lot easier to figure out. For the slides on being Google Classroom, I'll add them up after the lesson. It just right now, I'd rather keep it so when we do, especially when we do vocab, so that way I can kind of control the flow. So that way we don't just or people might not go like clicking through and just writing stuff down. But yeah, definitely I'll always post the slides after class, within like a minute. The code to the class, I'll add that in a little bit, if you guys don't have it. So circum is around. And so other words with circumference, it's the circumference of a circle. It's the kind of area outside, or not the area, but like the perimeter of the circle. To circumvent is to go like around. And so it's all around based upon the word around or circum. So another word that means around would be peri, or another root. And so now that we've done we've gone through all this vocab, we've gone through this stuff, and you can notice, like, I'm not trying to give you guys an absurd amount of vocab to learn each week. Personally, for me, I don't think that I'm an effective learner that way. And, some people might be, but I don't do the best when you're just given like 50 words and we have to all, just go through them as fast as possible, or we have to memorize them just by knowing, like, oh, this means that, this means that. I feel like it's better to have a more complete understanding, and to be able to maybe really understand those few words and really get through those roots and be able to actually understand them and memorize them and remember them, as opposed to, learning 50 words, but then in 2 days, then you really only know like 3 or 4 or 5, right? You don't really have a full understanding, or it doesn't really stick with you. So does peri have a more specific separate meaning? No, it's pretty much also means around. So yeah, so if you said perimeter, it's right in it, right? Pretty much the length around object or polygon. And so I'm saying peril, that might not be right, because as I mentioned earlier, right, roots are something that are most of the time they work, but a lot of the times, or not a lot of the time, but there's some words that just don't really fit in, or there's some words that might not make sense. But for the majority of the time, right, roots will really help you with the words that do have a meaning with them. And more likely than not, you'll find a root in any word. So I'll go through these a couple more times, and then I'll leave some time for questions at the end. So aqua is water, hydra is also water. I think I saw a question related to this early on. Let me get to it. Is hydra the hydra stem? Hydra, maybe. I think a hydra, as in from Greek mythology, which is like the beast with multiple heads that grow back. I think it had something to do with water related, but I'm not totally sure. Don't take my word for it. But Brandon said hydropower. Yeah, definitely. Or like a hydro dam. Hydrate. Yeah, that all works. And so it definitely makes sense if you guys have, if you guys can come up with examples of words. That's definitely a really good way to memorize them, or a really good way to remember them. And so that's a way I like to practice, just coming up with words or researching words or finding words. So cred is to believe and trust. Fit is like trust and faith. Yes, I'm saying Hercules fought in the swamp, fought the Hydra, and so it lives in the swamp. So yeah, cool. So using the word fid, confident, right? There's a fid in the middle of them, and being confident is trusting yourself and your own skills, right? And so I also want to say the root doesn't always have to be, or the stem doesn't always have to be in the front or the back or the middle. It can be pretty much anywhere. Bio is life, vi and vit are also life. And finally, circum is around and peri is around. And so with that, if anyone has questions, feel free to raise your hand. If not, please lower your hand. And we can end a little bit earlier today. So, get some lunch, do some whatever you need to do. Evan says, is Membean a good app? Yes, totally. I did Membean in 6th grade. It works really well. Also, so yeah, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, this is going to be the end of class. So cool. So go back to the credible vocabulary slide. Yes, I can. Right there. Nordic, no. Aquaman and Aqua? That's actually valid. If you think about it, Aquaman is, he's a superhero, right? And he has the ability to breathe underwater, and he's able to communicate with other sea creatures, right? It all has to do with water. How does fid fit in with credible? So FID is just another root that also means believe and trust. So like confident. Let me spell that out for you to make it a little bit more clear, perhaps. Annotate, draw, boom. Oh, I'm not even on the right side, my bad. Fid, dent, and like there's a part right there, but that's the part right there. And so confident would be like, trusting yourself. And so again, right here, that's not incredible, that's incredulous, and that's not believing in something. Is the app Nordink good? I've never experienced that. Yeah, also, if you guys don't have questions, feel free to just kind of leave, or feel free to just or leave the meeting. Yeah. Ethan has a comment. I'll unmute you.
Do you have a place where they have online books?
Online books? Or say that one more time. You were a little bit unclear.
Online books. I have a place. It's called Capstone.
All right, Capstone. I'll put that in chat. Capstone. That might work. Does Fiddle work?
Yeah, that's right.
For Lynn said, does Fiddle work as trust and faith? Well, a fiddle is more of an instrument, and so, or it can mean to kind of like move around or kind of like fiddle with your thumbs, but I don't really think so. Unless you can kind of find a stretch, I can't really think of it. Yeah, everyone can leave. Oh, IXL language arts. Yeah, that's definitely a good skill. IXL works really well. It's kind of a little bit of grindy, but it's also kind of fun. There's a lot of games, or there's some games in it that help you remember, and yeah, it works really well. So language skills, read, a lot of online. I would also recommend, I don't know if Khan Academy has the best thing, but Khan Academy is also a really good resource. ReadWorks is also a good site, is what I'm seeing. What app do I recommend? I don't particularly recommend any mobile apps. I think it's always better to do work on a computer or do it on a laptop if you have it. But if you don't have anything like that, yeah, I'd say Membean works really well. Sometimes Quizlet works really well, so you find it has good ratings. IXL, Membean, yeah. Could you possibly send out some reading vocabulary assignments, such as read the passage, use context clues to infer and say? So yeah, as homework, I can think about doing that. Yeah, I can definitely do that for like the later on classes, or maybe next time. But yeah, I can think about getting homework in. I think especially for this class, I didn't want to do too much homework, but I'll make it for optional homework. So if you really want to do that extra work, then go for it. But I'm seeing some opposition to homework. So yeah, personally, I'm thinking if you want to go for the homework or you want to do some optional out of time work, go for it. If not, then don't. Is there a YouTube video for this? And can you post a link? So I think through Alphademic Learning, they have recorded this and it should be up. I don't personally have the link though. All right, and with that, I'm gonna end the meeting pretty soon, so I'm gonna stop sharing. See you everyone. Haven't I see Rosetta Stone? Is that a learning resource or an author? Because she sounds familiar, but I'm not totally sure. Oh, it's an app? Yeah, maybe check it out. For language arts. Yeah, check it out. There's a lot of great resources. See y'all.